For our next problem, we'll solve a quadratic equation. We have 2x squared minus 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. When we have a quadratic equation and it's in standard form where we have 0 on one side, we can try to solve this by factoring it. So let's go ahead and set up our two sets of parentheses, and we'll do a little bit of guess and check. Since our first term has to equal 2x squared, we can put a 2x in our first set of parentheses and an x in our second set. The only way we can multiply to get 2 is to have 2 times 1. So in other words, we have 2x and 1x. Now, this is guess and check. Remember, our last term needs to multiply to give us negative 2. So that tells us we need one positive and one negative sign, but we're not sure where the signs go. And we want to make sure that our outside and our inside terms add up to give us negative 3x. So let's try putting a 2 in our second set of parentheses and a 1 here. Now, before we decide what our signs should be, let's just do a little looking here. If we multiply the two outside terms together, 2x times 2, that gives us 4x. And if we multiply the two inside terms together, 1 times x gives us 1x. If we have 4x and 1x, depending on what the signs are, it is possible to get a negative 3x out of here. Let's make our 4x negative by putting the negative sign in front of the 2, and our 1x positive by putting the positive sign in front of the 1. Now, let's double check this before we go any further. Let's FOIL this out just to check. We have 2x times x, our first terms, that's 2x squared. Our outside terms, 2x times negative 2 gives us minus 4x. Our inside terms, 1 times x gives us plus 1x. And our last two terms, a positive 1 times negative 2 gives us minus 2. And that certainly does simplify to 2x squared minus 3x minus 2. So we did factor the left-hand side correctly. It's a good idea to get into the habit of checking yourself to make sure you did factor it correctly. Now let's apply the zero product principle. We set each of these linear factors equal to 0. So we have 2x plus 1 equals 0, or x minus 2 is equal to 0. On the first equation, we subtract 1 from both sides, and we get 2x is equal to negative 1. We divide both sides by 2, and we get x is equal to negative 1/2. For our second equation, we add 2 to both sides, and we get x is equal to 2. So our solution set is negative 1/2, 2.